Daf Samach Vav summary, and the mimer is Lehavin and Lechem Mishnah. So we know that on Shabbos we have Lechem Mishnah, 2 loaves, and there's a debate between Nigla and נסתר. According to Nigla, you're meant to hold them, the 2 chalas, one on top of the other, whereas according to נסתר, you hold them side on. So the question is, what is the spiritual reasoning for the 2 sides of the debate? Now, let's first look at benching, and it's interesting that the first bracha, we only thank Hashem for the mazon, for the food, whereas in the second bracha, we thank Hashem for ala aretz v'ala mazon. And yes, the Gemara says that they're one thing, that the land produces the food, but still, so then why do we mention only mazon in the first bracha, and why do we need to mention both in the second one? So obviously there's something to that aretz, earth, somehow relates to the second bracha, not the first. Now, to understand this, let's first look at eating in general. So we know that eating is not just for our enjoyment and not even just for our physical sustenance, but what actually gives us the energy from eating is because the food has Motzei Pi Hashem inside it, the word of Hashem. All creation is created from Hashem's word, and therefore when we eat food, we're consuming that godly life force is becoming part of us. But we also come from Hashem's godly life force. So why do we need to gain that life force from eating something else? Why do we need to eat altogether spiritually? So the answer is because our neshama comes from tikkun, from the organized systematic godliness of this world and all worlds within his shalshalos. Whereas the food, animal products, vegetation, and inanimate, like for example, salt, water, etc., come from Tehhu, because the sparks of Tehhu, which crashed because there was too much light for small containers, and each sphere didn't work with the other ones. The Tehhu crashes, and then there's sparks of it hidden within our physical world. And therefore, when we eat the food, we lift those sparks back up to their source and show how they're really godly. And when we do that, it also lifts our neshama. Now, when we do that, what we're doing, our neshama comes from, as we said, tikkun, which is shema. Shema has bittul, and therefore it allows all the spheres to work together. Whereas tehhu, when it comes down into this world, this world is shemban, and tehhu, as it is above, it says another memor shem sag. Now, so when we eat and we said that we gain from beyond what we have ourselves, and this is like Yaakov's kings, the kings of the Jewish people, come only after Edom's kings because they are high spiritual. That is lechem min haaretz, bread from the ground, and sustenance mazon that's connected with haaretz, with the ground. The second bracha of birchas hamazon, but the first bracha is the one that Moshe established, and it's connected to man, bread from the heavens. Now, Moshe and man are both really beyond this world. There's what we can accomplish through our efforts, our esros del sata, our arousal from above that awakens an esros del ela, and a similar arousal from our one from below awakens a corresponding arousal from above. But then there's esros del ela, a gift from Hashem that's beyond anything we can accomplish, and that's like the man, and that's also like the level of Moshe, who is pure chachma, beyond getting involved in how that relates to practical cases. He wasn't intellect as it relates to practical, as it relates to emotions. He was just pure intellect, and he therefore felt unequipped to give the Torah, and he only came down to give the Torah because Hashem says, I will be with you, and therefore that level of Hashem's essence, means that everything is the same. And even though he's beyond, he can be beyond and still a good fit. And so both Moshe and the man are from beyond, and that's when Moshe made the first bracha. Now in the second bracha, it starts with noida, and we say that we're moedim lach. now moida means to thank, but it also means to admit, because there are two perspectives. There's Hashem's perspective and our perspective. Hashem's perspective is that Hashem is real, godliness is real, and this world is a mirage. Whereas our perspective is that this world is real and godliness is something we don't relate to, some sort of mirage and something beyond us. And when we say that we admit, we're saying that Hashem's perspective is the real one. So when Hashem creates the world, what it's doing is making us look real. Whereas when we, and especially tzaddikim, rise up in closeness with Hashem, with Torah and mitzvahs, what we're saying is, no, Hashem is right. And the real perspective is that Einoid Movade, there's nothing but Hashem. And so we say that Anachnu Moedim Lach, and then Umevarchim Eisach. And then we say, and we bless you. The difference between admitting and blessing is that admitting is just saying that's the truth, whereas mevarchim is to, when you bless, it's you're bringing down a revelation of this, that you should feel that this is the truth. You should see that this is the truth. Now, Shabbos is also beyond, like Mon and like Moshe, but Shabbos is actually even higher level than Mon, because when we work, so then our inner self has to be involved outward in what we're doing. Whereas when we stop working, our inner self can be at rest inside. Now, the 6 days of work, we're all outward focused. We're trying to, and Hashem similarly is refining the world. And we do the same, refine the world. Whereas 7th day, Shabbos, Hashem is beyond creation, the Pneumius. And that's like the Mon, which is beyond the world. But there is a difference, because Mon is like the spiritual level called Akudim, which means ringed. It's named after one of the types of sheep of Yaakov. And there, in the level of Akudim, all the different spheres are within one keli. They're all as one. But there's still all the details, just that they're all as one. Whereas Shabbos, you don't have details at all. It's just, there's one and that's it. You can't say that the details are not there, because everything, in other words, everything comes from Hashem. But on the other hand, you can't yet see any specific details. So that's the level of Shabbos. So Hashem goes back internally into himself without involvement at all, even as one in all the details of creation. And that's why the Mon didn't fall on Shabbos, because Shabbos is even a higher level than the Mon. Now, going back to what we originally started the Maimon with. So we have these 2 loaves of bread. One represents the Zah, the 6 spheres. The other one represents Malchus. So if you look at it from a Yasher perspective, from within his Shalshlus, within the chain of worlds, so then clearly the spheres are higher, the emotions are higher, and then they lead to Malchus, which is the expression in speech and action. And therefore you should hold the Chalas one on top of the other. The one of the spheres, which is the Zachar Chala, remember Shabbos, on top of the Shomer Chala, the observe Shabbos, which corresponds to Malchus. Whereas when you look at it from a perspective of Hasidus, which is, and Nister in general, so then you're looking at it from a perspective of beyond, Makif. At that level, Midas and Malchus are all one. It's not that one is higher than the other, really they're all one. And that, and especially, and like Chayzer, which the idea is the reflecting, the rebounding light, that actually what seems to be the lower level then ends up creating even more powerful light, a warmer light than the higher level. And so therefore you put the 2 chalas, according to Nister, next to each other. And this Maim also explains the difference between the first bracha, which is about Mon, beyond, and then the second bracha, and the rest of the brachas of Birchas Hamazon are within, and the difference between Shabbos and weekdays, where weekdays are about refinement, whereas Shabbos is just Hashem's oneness and beyond.